stop special interest money now, stop corporate special exemptions from campaign finance rules, the 2012 Auto Insurance Discounts Act. All sound great, don't they? But nobody knows who is behind them. Unless you go to the Secretary of State website, and most of the funders are actually revealed there, so the press can talk about them sometime, except in cases in this recent Arizona case where there's $11 million that was essentially laundered from the Arizona nonprofit Americans for Responsible Leadership. And it took a California Supreme Court decision on the last day to on the Sunday before the election to reveal that two other nonprofits, one associated with Koch brothers funding. So that's the problem. So here's how disclosure looks in California. This was a screenshot in current law disclosure for yes on 26, a proposition in November 2012. Again, you can't see pay for by stop paying taxes. As Bob Stern would say, you have to kind of freeze frame this to even notice this at all. And then you might be able to know sometimes in California it reveals the two largest funders buried in the fine print. What the California Disclose Act would do would change that completely by changing it so the top three funders have to be revealed on the ads themselves. This is what those yes on 26 ads would have to display. Can you see how much this would change the game when it comes to California ballot measures? Instead of stop hidden taxes in the fine print, you see that this proposition was paid for by Chevron, American Beverage Association, and Philippines. It would completely change the game when it comes to legislation. One reason the California Clean Money Campaign is particularly interested in the Disclose Act is because eventually we're going to have to put public financing of whatever stores we have on the ballot in California, and we'll be attacked by these same very sorts of people. And if we can disclose them there, then the public financing mission will have a chance to pass. So this is kind of across the board. Yes on 25, that was a corporate initiative. Yes on 25 was one that was actually supported mostly by labor, so it's completely nonpartisan. If you're the three largest funders, one, okay. That's what we're talking about. There was a bill this year, AB 1648, the California Disclose Act, that would have passed this. Assemblymember Julia Brown, who's now in Congress, she was author. Clean Money Champion, we've called her. California Clean Money Campaign sponsored it. The California Chamber of Commerce and its allies heavily lobbied against this bill. Very heavily lobbied against it. But 350 organizations and leaders endorsed it. It was passed by the Assembly, got through the Assembly on August 20th. So to put this measure on the ballot in November 2014. It was too late to get through the Senate and pass. So we got to start again this next year. And that was partially due to California Chamber of Commerce and all its allies that lobbied so heavily against it. But we're going to come back. There is a huge coalition. I know many of you yourselves have signed, over 84,000 Californians signed petitions for it. This is how we get grassroots activism for legislation and really put the pressure on. That's how it got through the Assembly, and that's how we're going to get it through next year. 12 newspaper editorials, over 350 organizations and leaders endorsed it, not just the League of Women Voters and Common Cause and Public Citizen, but all sorts of groups across the realm and national groups. We're going to, this is how you build and push legislation. Skip this, we can skip this one. 84% of Californians support this kind of disclosure, just to make sure that, go to the next one. This is one of my favorite quotes for why disclosure is constitutional from Justice Antonin Scalia. Requiring people to stand up in public for their political acts fosters civic courage without democracy.
Yeah.
So, if we can, the Disclose Act is, in some ways, it's small bore. It's a first step. You need lots of other steps, but we believe it will start to shed light on the situation to help some of the bigger things. Because when people see very clearly in all the ads that they're deluged with, who is paying for them, that the same corporations and billionaires every single time, that will help build popular pressure, we believe, not only so that bad things don't get passed when they're fooled by those deceptive ads, but also build popular pressure for the additional, much larger reforms that we also need. So, last slide, I'll just say, why is California important? As California goes, so goes the nation. And part of this is, California is, of course, if you look at it in the size of its economy, the 8th largest, would be counted as the 8th largest country in the world if it were a country. So if we can make these sorts of reforms in California, we've got a real chance, because we don't have to worry about the filibuster. We've got a very strong activist community. We can really show examples of how this stuff can happen.